One of my 2026 reading goals is to read as much of my physical collection as I can. So I decided to put 50 book titles that I said I wanted to read in 2025 but I didn't get a chance to into a TBR jar, and that is where I'll be picking every month the books that I will be reading. So far I already read 5 books and I have started reading 3 extra books. So there are still 42 books in the running that I have not touched or read. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you the 10 books that I predict will be a 5-star read for me. First book that I have is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I think this book has been getting popular again, even though it's been out for 10 years. This book had its 10-year anniversary last year, so it was being reprinted with the really cute sprayed edges, but I have the original version. I cannot wait to read this book because it is a fantasy book. I think every little plot twist, every little event that is not expected would make my jaw drop on the floor, just because I'm not an avid fantasy reader and I feel like I'm starting to get into fantasy. I'm starting to get in the mood of reading fantasy book, so hopefully this will be something that I will pick up in the next few months. The next book is also another fantasy book, and I think because I'm not an avid fantasy reader, this book will wow me hopefully, and that is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This saga, I guess, has been pretty popular in the past few months. I think it's because people are really expecting the 4th book to come out in 2026. Even though there hasn't been like an exact date when it's gonna come out. I've heard about this book talked about so much, I think in the past year. I have the really pretty special edition with the sprayed edges, and I have book 1 through 3 already, even though I haven't read the first one. So I'm really hoping that I'll get to pick this up pretty soon and that I will love it. These next 2 books I think is gonna be a 5-star read for me because I've actually met the authors and I have heard them talk about how they wrote this book and the backstory on how they did the research and why they decided to write this book. So I think the reading experience for these 2 books are definitely gonna be different, and I just feel like I will be more connected with this book because I have met the authors. So the next book is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. She actually came to Vegas, I think in the summer of last year, talking about her newer published book, which was The Amalfi Curse. But this is the one book that she said had made her left her full-time job and also eventually retire her husband from his full-time job, which is honestly very inspiring and amazing. And I know that she is currently writing the sequel of this book. I'm not really sure when that's gonna be published. I think it's gonna be either this year or maybe next year in 2027. I don't remember what she said. I think it might be 2027 because she's writing 1 book every 2 years instead of 1 book every year. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to finish this book in 2026, so whenever the sequel comes out next year, I'll be ready to read it. So this next one, like I said, I have met the author as well. This book is The Foxwife by Yangzi Chu. She came to Henderson last summer as well, talking about, I think this is the most recent book that she published. This is a historical fantasy fiction that also has a murder mystery mixed into it. I did read the first 10 or 20 pages of this book last year and it was pretty interesting. And I'm hoping that I will be able to pick it up again and then finish this book this year. So the next book that I have is actually a book that I picked for my March TBR. This is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And I wanted to read this book because this book is gonna be adapted to a movie and I think it's coming out either in March or April. So I'm hoping that I will be able to read this book first before going to the movies and actually watch the movie. But I've heard so many great things about this book. People who don't really read sci-fi are actually reading this book and really love it and had a really great experience with the book. I heard that this book is pretty easy to read even though it is classified as sci-fi. That just makes me feel less intimidated to pick up this book because I am, again, not a sci-fi reader. I just know some sci-fi stuff from watching The Big Bang Theory, and that's probably it. And hopefully I'll be able to read this in March and hopefully I will enjoy it. And then if I do, I think I'll pick up Andy Weir's other sci-fi books that have been adapted to movies before. I think The Martian. Is that the other one that I think was a movie as well? The next one that I think will be a 5-star for me is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I've heard so many great things about this book. I'm not really sure what the genre of this book, probably it is general fiction, but this one is about two friends who are game developers, I believe. And again, I'm not really a gamer. My husband and my sister's husband play games a lot, so I'm not really sure if I will understand some of, you know, like the gaming lingo and whatever, but I think I will, because I have heard people talk about this, people who don't really read this type of books or who are not gamer at all, and they still enjoy the book. So I think I will also enjoy the book and probably will rate this book a 5-star. The next book is gonna be The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I believe this is a YA, is it a mystery book or something? I'm not really sure. This one is about this one girl who apparently inherited a lot of money, a lot of property maybe or something from this one older gentleman who she never heard of before. But the twist is this older gentleman has 3 or 4 grandsons that actually expected to inherit this guy's like wealth. So she has to move into the Hawthorne's like mansion and have to basically face this grandsons. I'm not really sure if there's gonna be like a game or a riddle or something that she has to go through while living in this Hawthorne mansion, but I feel like that's what's gonna happen in this book. I think there are what, 3 books or 4 books or something in this series. There's also a spin-off series, but I only have all of the books in this particular series. So if I finish this maybe this year or next year, and if I like it, I might read the spin-off series. I'm pretty sure I read like the first, I don't know, few pages last year to kind of figure out what I want to read next. It was pretty interesting to me, and I feel like it's going to be pretty easy to follow, but I just didn't pick it up in 2025, so that's why it's in my 2026 TBR, and I predict that this will be a 5-star read for me. The next book that I predict will be another 5-star read for me is going to be Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is the companion book or the second book after Better Than the Movies, which I read last year. This book is set when the 2 main characters are in college, and it's gonna be set in the MMC's point of view, which is gonna be interesting because the first book is in her point of view. People are saying that this is kind of an unnecessary book to read, but it's going to be a different timeline and a different story, so I think it's still gonna be interesting. And I did love Lynn Painter's YA books better than her adult romance books, but I only read one of her adult romance books, so I think I need to read more of her books in general to see which one I like better. But as of right now, I like her YA book more, so I'm hoping that this will be another 5-star read for me for this year. The next one is gonna be Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This one, I believe, is a historical fiction about women in the 60s, I believe, or 70s. The main character is a chemist, and I think she used to work in some type of like company, and then I think she got fired or something, and she somehow hosts a cooking TV show or something like that. This has been adapted to a series, I believe. I do love stories with strong woman character, and I feel like I'm just gonna love this. Did see a couple clips on TikTok about the series adaptation, and it was just very like inspiring. When she was a host of this TV show, there's like an audience, a woman who has family, married, have a husband, have kids and stuff like that, but she's always wanted to be a doctor. And I guess the main character was kind of encouraging her to apply for med school. You can take care of your family, but also could learn to be a doctor. And I think a few years after that happened, that same woman came back to the show and shared with everyone that she is now enrolled in a medical school, which is, I guess, just a very inspiring story. So I cannot wait to read this book. I think this will be a 5-star read for me. Okay, last but not least, I have This Is Not a Game by Callie Mullen. Actually won this book in a giveaway, and this one was published last year. This is a mystery book that kind of reminds me of Finlay Donovan series. I think I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna love it because I do love Finlay Donovan is Killing It, which is the first book in the book series. But instead of like a single mom with like her nanny solving mysteries, I guess this one is a grandma and a granddaughter duo. And there's also like a dog, I guess. The premise is that somehow they got invited to a dinner at this big mansion, and the hostess of the dinner was murdered or something during this dinner. So this grandma and granddaughter duo were trying to figure out who is the killer, because the killer is probably still inside the mansion. And I guess this grandma granddaughter duo is trying to figure out who the murderer is before it's too late. And I feel like I will definitely love this book and rated this 5-star. Alright, those are all of the 10 books that I think will be a 5-star rate for me. I predict that they will. Let me know if you have read any of these books in the comment below and convince me to start on your favorite books.